Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really short, but honestly incredibly impactful piece of writing called The Treachery of Appeasement. It presents this stark warning about human nature and, well, the incredibly dangerous trade-offs we sometimes make just for a little bit of temporary safety. It really asks us to look closely at why we compromise our autonomy and what the ultimate, unavoidable cost of that compromise actually is.
Okay, let's dive into this because the author starts with just an absolutely unforgettable opening metaphor. Appeasing an alligator expecting it to eat you last is insanity. I mean, just sit with the visceral dread of that image for a second. You're literally face to face with a predator that intends to consume you, and your strategy is what? To be helpful? To be compliant? The author really points out the sheer absurdity of this approach. Like, why would anyone do that? You're still going to get eaten. By playing along, you're basically just asking to be put at the back of the line. So bringing that wild alligator metaphor directly into our everyday human behavior, the text defines exactly what it means by appeasement in this context. It's the act of giving up your own freedom and autonomy in exchange for a false sense of safety. So we're not talking about genuine peacemaking or, healthy compromise here. No, it's a desperate transaction where you essentially trade away your independence just to feel secure for a fleeting moment. Moving into Section 1, the illusion of safety and the cost to the individual, and this brilliantly illustrates the horrific imbalance of the whole bargain. Think about it. What are you actually getting here? A totally false sense of safety. You might live a little longer in the metaphorical sense, surviving the immediate moment, but the actual cost. The text argues you are reduced to living like a servant. You basically exist in this state of perpetual fear and anxiety, completely stripped of any control over what happens to you next. You haven't bought true safety at all. You've really just bought a terrifying waiting period. Which scales things up to our next section: systemic complicity and benefiting from the toxic. The author argues that this attitude isn't just about one-on-one relationships, right? It scales all the way up to how we interact with society at large. According to the text, people will often take the side of harmful systems simply because they happen to be the beneficiaries, and, well, that toxic system is working in their favor for the time being. The source specifically lists environments where individuals get into trouble by appeasing psychopaths and sociopaths. It notes that this complicity looks like supporting polarization, turning a blind eye to suppression and censorship, or just playing along with an authoritarian. The text asserts that people actively compromise their deepest held values to navigate these corrupted environments, as long as it grants them a bit of temporary shelter. And that leads us to the final section, the inevitable consequences. It's really just a matter of time. Let's move to and see how this builds through this sort of three-step sequence of doom outlined in the text. Step 1, you compromise your values just to feel safe and survive for the moment. Step 2, you act servile, maybe even materially benefiting from that toxic system for a little while. But then, Step 3 hits, and the text is absolutely firm on this point. The very system or person you're being servile to will eventually come for you. It is completely unavoidable. As the author explicitly states, you will suffer and get into trouble. The end is always miserable. It's quite simply only a matter of time. So, what does this all mean? The crucial point here is that we have to constantly evaluate the long-term price of our short-term comfort, which leaves us with this final thought, bringing us right back to the author's striking analogy. When you compromise your values for a temporary sense of safety, who are you really feeding? Are you actually protecting yourself, or are you just keeping the alligator full for another day? Thank you for joining us for this explainer, and I really encourage you to reflect on where you might be tempted to make these dangerous trades in your own life.